Happening, people. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. It's your boy, brother Winston, back at it again. Today we are watching Dr. Umar on another podcast. Okay, now I've seen people in different comments of different videos saying, how do people ever fall for Dr. Umar? How could they not see that he was a scam artist? All right, maybe like an hour ago I was watching a video someone had put up where they were basically showing how people today, mostly black women, okay, now of course a lot of black women know he's a scam artist, but there are some black women who this video was basically a compilation of. They were basically defending Dr. Umar and saying he started school. What if you done this and that? All right, I was like, so people still believe him, you know. But what I want to do is show this podcast, because what I did was I started watching some of his lectures, because people were saying, how can people have fallen for him? I said, you know what? Let me watch some of his old lectures to see how he was it like years ago. And what I come to find is that Dr. Umar is nothing but a poser. Like me being a public speaker myself, all right. When I can look at somebody when they're talking, when they're speaking, when they're preaching, whatever it case it be, and I can tell if they're real or not, just like instantly. Okay, that's like a skill you get when you actually do it yourself. Okay, and I can look at him, and I can see right through him. He's saying clever things, like he's saying things that people will get he'll see saying things will get a rise out of people. Okay, but he's not genuine, and he's saying like the most base stuff. But he has a slick tongue. He knows how to speak. You understand what I'm saying? And because Dr. Umar knows how to speak, that's how a lot of people believe him. But he just panders to people's lowest needs, essentially, and just knows how to speak. And that's how it gets by. So let's pull up this podcast and we'll see how far we can watch this. Okay, let's go.
Black America doesn't recognize it because we got so much religion around us, but most of us are idol worshipers. We worship cars, we worship tools, we worship status, we worship college degrees,
Also, I'm going to say, I'm going to stop this video to give commentary. If you don't like commentary, leave the video, okay? I've had people leave a comments before. I know it's probably Dr. Umar fans. They're like, oh, you leave it. We want to hear the video. The job of me making the video is not to bootleg their video. The job of my video is to create commentary on what they're talking about, okay? So if you just want to hear them, you need to go find a video. Don't come to my video and say, oh, I want to hear the commentary. Then why did you come to my video? Okay. So we see right here from the very beginning, Dr. Umar is attacking essentially all religions. He's saying, we need to get rid of all religions. Which is ironic, because if you study Dr. Umar, he believes in a religion. That's the part that's the funniest of all. He believes in worship of the ancestors. He believes in, it was mentioned in the Bible, for example, divination. Okay, he does that also. He does divination. He he'll sacrifice animals, okay, which you can even at times see him like not doing necessarily, but you'll see him involved in type of stuff where he'll have different items and stuff that he has as pieces of sacrifices. The woman, I think one of his girlfriends said that actually I think it was his girlfriend, and it was his girlfriend, the woman who he's making fun of, Lene, I think her name was, and then the woman who did the film. That both of them said that they found that he had animal entrails that he carried with him, okay? And Dr. Umar admits that he's involved in that type of stuff. So he's involved in religious activities, but then he always attacks Christianity or attacks whatever. Usually attacks Christians, and then he'll just dismiss other religions and say, but he loves to attack Christians the most, okay? But he'll dismiss other religions and say, they're all, they're all fine, but at the end of the day, we need to focus more on black consciousness. When he himself is a very religious man. As a woman said, he won't go anywhere without a bag that carries animal entrails, okay, and an ankh. But then they'll say, oh, no, I'm not religious, which is a lie. But let's continue.
Worship celebrities. We don't really worship God. So we have to make sure that we don't mistake.
Let's stop again. Okay, notice how he said we don't really worship God. He's talking about black people as a whole, is he not? Yes. Remember how I always say Dr. Umar is nothing but a government plan? I can't explain exactly. I don't know exactly how. I'll find out one day and make a video about that. When I find evidence to show how he's truly a government plan. Okay, I'm definitely gonna find that. But I believe he's government plan. Look at what he's saying here. Look what he says. He said we really don't worship God. So he's put it in your mind as an African American person. Don't worship God. We really don't do that. All right. Now God, of course, if you know God, you know that God will help you. But Dr. Umar, being a godless government plant that he is at this time in his life, okay, hopefully he can change. This is what's coming out of his mouth. Everything out of his mouth is something terrible, okay? Everything coming out of his mouth is something bad. But let's continue.
Tokenism for progress. The only time we stand up is when white people make us upset. And if the only time you're going to do something for yourself.
Okay, bingo, there we go again. He said something again that's attacking black folks. He said the only time we stand up is when white folks make us upset. So right there, all right, he dismissed all works that black people have ever made. from the black guy that created the let's say for example the black guy that created this, the lights that you see outside, the stop lights, okay, not the stop sign but the stop lights, okay, the red, the green, and the yellow. A black man made that, and all the other inventions that black people have made. He said, listen, we won't stand up and do nothing unless a white man make us stand up because we mad. That's basically what Dr. Umar is saying. But people online are not going to. They're going to say this is what he's doing. They're going to say, "Oh, he's just a scam artist." No, he's much, much, much more than a scam artist. He's much. That's why I'm telling you, this guy is a government. He's some type of government plan. Everything out of his mouth is terrible. Everything out of his dude's mouth is terrible. If you can read between the lines, like I said before, he speak with a double tongue. He's like Donald Trump. He has double speech. All right. He's saying one thing. Like, as people listening, let's go back real quick. Watch this.
So we have to make sure that we don't mistake tokenism for progress. The only time we stand up is when white people make us upset. And if the only...
So it makes it seem like he's saying something positive, like black people, we got to stand up. But he's speaking with double speech. He's saying we only stand when white people make us mad, but he's also saying black people, we're so stupid, we don't stand up at the same time. So I'm going to let him lie a little bit more, then I'm going to start stopping him because I could stop Dr. Umar every 2 seconds because he lies so much. But I'm going to let him play a little more and stop him and something else that he's saying that is wrong. Let's go.
Time you're going to do something for yourself is when your enemy provokes you, then your enemy controls your destiny. So what is freedom? For me, freedom is the ability to determine the destiny of your people without outside interference. You've never had freedom. You've had degrees of privilege and degrees of autonomy. You've never been free. The slave that is whipped the easiest is the slave that will whip the most. If you never push back against what's being done to you, it only gets worse. I don't believe.
Of course, Dr. Umar. See what I mean? Like, things that he says, nothing that he says is deep. It's like he go on Google and his fine catchphrases. You really can. And just repeat them. Sit there, say it slowly, look you dead in your eye, and say, look at my degrees. All right? Look at these degrees that I somehow got, okay? Yeah, I'm a doctor. And there are many of doctors. Okay, I know people that every time I turn around, they're getting a new doctorate degree. Okay, does that mean they're super smart? No. Of all the degrees that they've got to me, they haven't gotten any smarter than me at all. All right, talking to them and dealing with them, I feel like a lot of times their knowledge is not increased, but they got all these degrees. I do more is the exact same thing, but let's continue.
Belong to the Democratic Party plantation, and I belong to the Republican Party plantation. Both plantations burn to death. See, I want black power. So I don't want no black president. I want black power. The only...
See what I mean when I say he has a double tongue? Like, see how he says, I want black power, I want a black president. It appears like Dr. Umar is saying, you know, why are black, and it would seem good. Okay, well, why are black people just striving for a black president? We're just selling for we will sell for a black president no matter who the person is. But at the same time, because he speaks with double speech, all right, which you have to understand about Dr. Umar. For you to know he's a government plan to understand, you have to understand first that he speaks with speech that has two meanings all the time. And it's the same thing Donald Trump does. He speaks with double meanings. Like, for example, you ever notice how Donald Trump will talk sometimes when racist things happen to black people, and they call it a dog whistle, where he'll speak to white racist people, but then he'll talk to black folks at the same time, and the black folks won't understand, and he's talking to his racist people, his racist fans, essentially telling them one thing and then telling you another thing. All right. When Dr. Umar says, for example, you know, we don't want no black president, at the same time, when he's saying we shouldn't just strive for that, that's what it appeared he's saying. He's also at the same time saying, I don't want to see a black person as president. In other words, if he was the government plan, which I believe 100% that he is, what he's also saying is black people stop trying to strive for higher offices. Stop trying to do that. Okay, stay down, stay below. All right. He's saying that at the exact same time. I don't want a black president. So he's putting in your subconscious, don't desire anything like that. Okay. Black people stay out of politics altogether. Let us people, let the white folks just rule over you. That's what he's saying. But he's not saying that way. He's saying it in a side. He says it another way. Okay, he says everything in a different way so that most people wouldn't catch it. I can catch it because I'm a speaker just like Dr. Umar. Okay, but I'm not a speaker. I haven't spoken across the entire world when it comes to travel. But I speak just like Dr. Umar. I go out and preach and witness every single week. Okay, I've spoken publicly more than Dr. Umar actually. So I've been doing it for many years, more than Dr. Umar has. Okay, truth be told. All right, but Dr. Umar. So I'm saying to say that I've actually been had experience with this even when I was a kid. Okay, So I look at somebody like Dr. Umar, I can see through him very, very easily. All right. So that's why I'm making this video to break him down and show you he, like, for those of you that are his fans, he's not worth a dime. Okay, he's not, but you love him so much, it's because you don't understand what he's doing. Let's continue.
Difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is their strategy. They both have the same agenda for black people, and that's to marginalize you. The Republicans tell you they hate you, and the Democrats act like they like you, but they really hate you too. Every problem in black America was introduced by the white power structure, but it's been perpetuated because of our docility and refusal to organize and push back. White power could never be successful against black people without the participation of black people. Black American public schools are being gutted, voters are being challenged, our pain is being publicized, and we're not in a reboot, we're in a backlash. The question today aren't cute, they're not commercial, it's critical. Are we thriving or just surviving? Our black boys are being raised to lead or just labeled as drugged and discarded? Are our sisters empowered or exhausted? And who's really shaping our future for us? Or is the system still trying to erase us? Today, I sit down with a man who has never been scared to tell us the raw truth. He's an educator, psychologist, activist, and Pan-African.
Okay, we're going to skip ahead to what he's talking. But I just want to say is, once again, for those of you who are watching, all right, you have to understand, for all the accolades that they give Dr. Umar Johnson is nothing more than somebody like any regular person that has simply learned how to talk slickly, all right? Like, he didn't say black people are docile. He said that docility is something. He had to use the most extravagant way of saying the word docile, okay? Because as a con man that he is, he cons you with his words, okay? You may say, how does he con me with my words? He doesn't ask for money. No, he does. He cons you with his words to make you feel like he's smarter than he is. That's step one. Then step two is to then say, look, see how smart I am? Look at this school. This is the evidence. That's step two. Okay, step one is the word. Step two is the school. Okay, and then step three is to guilt you into sending him money for the school because it's going to the school and not going to him, supposedly. But that's a lie, as we've just seen. How when the school is in jeopardy, as even Wilmington, Delaware, the Wilmington, Delaware officials have shown that the school was going for sheriff's sale. Dr. Umar couldn't, and it was actually posted online, the actual forms, which proves that it should have proved to all the supporters that Dr. Umar has been lying about spending the donor, about not spending donor money. Because if he was not spending donor money, why is it that the school was behind? Okay, on all those bills, it was behind because he spent the money. He received over $1 million and he spent the donor money. Dr. Umar cannot provide you evidence to show you that the over $1 million that he would have had left from donor money after buying the school, he cannot show you that he spent that money to fix the school. Okay, he cannot. All he was saying is, you don't need to ask these questions. Like he told the guy, Lord Jamar, he said, if you haven't given to me, you don't have a say in the marriage. You can't. He said, I only speak to donors. Okay, the reason why he says this is because he's spending y'all money. He's spending y'all money on what he wants. That's why he made a video saying the school. Even he himself made a video. I'm not making this up. He himself made a video saying the school is in jeopardy and this and that. Okay, and then he made up a lie. He said, "Oh, my accounts have been frozen." What a convenient time for his accounts to be frozen. What a convenient time for the money that he would have needed from you donors, okay, to save the school. What a convenient time for his accounts to be frozen right around the exact same time. What a quaky thing. Wake up. You understand what I'm saying? Wake up. But let's continue.
Warrior. On the day, it's Yoruba. On the TV, I'm walking around the house and I'm playing it like saying it, and I got an opportunity to do it and I didn't get it right. So tell everybody, what's that name? Atunde Oguntade. Oguntade. It's Yoruba. Ifatunde means destiny has returned, and Oguntade means the spirit of iron wears the crown. Wow. And let's talk about that when we talk about the names. Why do you think names are important? And why? I know your name started out as you were Jermaine Shoemaker. I was born. Correct. My father changed it after my parents were married to Umar Johnson. And then I received my Yoruba name on November 18th of 2011.
So we skipping ahead, okay, because they was talking about just basic stuff Dr. Umar growing up. All right. But now we want to hear about some of the things that he has to say from his heart. And I want to say is also really quickly, all right, There are times when you can see Dr. Umar, because as I always say, Dr. Umar wears a mask 24/7, okay? But there are times where the real Dr. Umar comes through. Usually you can see that when he gets angry at somebody, when he's in the debate, like I put that video recently where he was in the debate with a Christian where he really was getting trashed and he basically just hung up on the live. You can see that Dr. Umar, when he started calling him a nigga and started saying all this kind of stuff, you can see that was the real Dr. Umar coming through. All right. He was coming through the mask. All right. So let's look at him now and see so we can break down and see, is he wearing a mask and how so? Let's hit play.
Ifa means destiny. Okay. And that's the name of the spiritual system of the Yoruba. And the reason it's called Ifa, it speaks to the fact that all of us choose a destiny at the feet of the Almighty in heaven. And when you come to earth, you have to find and fulfill your destiny, which means no matter how successful you might be in this world.
We'll stop right here. Okay, so he's talking about the Almighty in heaven. Who is he talking about? Okay, they may say, well, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter. Because a man that does not have a sure belief and is not sure about his belief is a man you should not listen to, is a man you should not follow, man or woman. Okay? Simple as that. A man that says I'm a Christian but then does everything that an unbeliever would do, you shouldn't follow him. A man that says, that he's a Christian and he's doing something that a Muslim would do, and then going back to a Christian, you shouldn't follow him because he's undecided. The Bible says a man that's it says that a man that essentially is like that is somebody you shouldn't follow, essentially. Okay, I forget exactly how the scripture goes. Okay, but he's a man who's he's double essentially in all of his ways. Okay, you don't want to follow a person like that. Now I'm saying this because Dr. Umar attacks the church all the time. Okay, he always is saying things against the church and don't speak against religion. He'll say, okay, but then right here, now it's time to grasp onto God in heaven. Okay. But then also he worships the ancestors. So why would you need to grasp on God in heaven if you worship the ancestors? You know what I'm saying? Everything that he's saying is against what he's saying because he really doesn't. What he believes in is not what comes out of his mouth because he's wearing a mask. He says things to appease people that are listening to him, so they drop their guard, which is what for example, many fake pastors, which I've seen a lot of them, what they will do. Me being in the church or myself, and being a person that still films to this day in many churches. I've seen a lot of fake pastors, and a lot of times what they will do is they will say things and make you drop your guard, especially if they're preaching a prosperity message and they want you to give a lot. They'll say things to make you drop your guard. They'll say things you can relate to, all right, so that you drop your guard and feel like they're just like you. You're friends, and you just long lost friends. And after that, your guards are dropped, then they will hit you with that. Hey, why don't you give this, and that? You know what I mean? Even your whole paycheck, okay, and because you feel like now you're your friend, you'll be more likely to do that. And that's what he's doing. Okay? As I always say, Dr. Umar is always saying things against pastors and stuff like that, but he himself is actually worse than than fake prosperity preaching pastors. He uses their exact same playbook. And he's actually perfected it. That's how bad this man is. He actually perfected with the people that he actually says he hates so much. He's doing that same thing they do and even worse. Okay.
If you're not fulfilling the destiny that you chose at the feet of the Most High, you'll still feel incomplete.
He didn't use the name Most High. Okay, that's not a name used in Islam. That's not a name used in Islam or in Buddhism. That's a name used in Christianity. In the Bible, the Most High, and he's reaching in the Bible that he says that he hates, and that we need to stop reading the Bible and all kinds of stuff, which is what he always is saying. Okay, but now he wants to talk about the Bible. And this is a recent interview. This is not old. This is like a few weeks ago. Okay, so I wonder why that is. Did he ever change of heart? No.
This is why we got black millionaires and black billionaires. They got the whole world at their feet, but they still feel empty because that was not your purpose. You wasn't sent here to just drive around in fancy cars and eat at fancy restaurants. God didn't send you here for that. There's something deeper you're supposed to do, but you're so distracted with the materialism, you can't find yourself back to the right path.
Is that true? Yes. That materialism can distract you. But is it deep? No. Has it been said before? Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything he's saying is something that you can hear at any church in Philadelphia, any church in Chicago, any church in Boston, any church in Baltimore, any church in Oakland, California. The stuff that he's saying is nothing deep. It's not like it's something new. And he's saying it with a smile on his face. This is the drop your guard. It's how he comes in. He makes you drop your guard. All right. And he's an expert con man. He's not a low level con man. Dr. Umar is an expert con man. Okay. And like I being said before online, there was a time where I was involved with stealing. Okay. And as you do it, you get better at it. Okay, it's just like playing sports. You get better at doing it the more you do it. All right, you don't need to read books. Just the more you do, you get better at it. Dr. Umar has been lying to people and scamming them for many, many years, over a decade. All right, really 2 decades at the very least. And because of this, for all that time and experience that he has, he knows how to quickly grab somebody, quickly make them drop their guard, and then quickly reach in to get what he needs. Let's continue.
So what's your suggestion on how you take the steps to getting that?
I would say it would be threefold. Number one, coming from a psychological perspective, we're often distracted from what we're supposed to do by the demons that have been introduced into our life because of the tragedies and traumas that you go through as a child and as an adult. Racism can be a distractor. Domestic abuse can be a distractor. Some people suffer from child molestation. There's all types of poverty, crime.
See how he said that word? He didn't say molestation. He had to say molestation. He has to make everything extravagant. And he purposely did that. I guarantee he purposely said that way so that you feel like he knows the word better than me. No, he doesn't. He purposely does that till you feel small and he feels big. He seems big, I should say.
And mass incarceration, dealing with these everyday issues, distract you from putting enough attention towards your spiritual destiny. We might go to church Sunday. We might go to the mosque on Friday. Even in traditional African culture, you might go to the temple and worship once or twice a week, but you're still not giving enough attention to your relationship with supreme consciousness. To make a long story short, we put this world first before that world. In Yoruba, we have a saying that says, heaven is home. Earth is the marketplace. You just visiting here. That's where you live. So when you come here, you need to stay focused and get your job done because you won't be here forever. Another thing that we choose in heaven is how long we're going to be.
What he just said was an absolute contradiction. First, he said you need to be paying more attention to the world, did he not, than heaven. But then he went around and said, no, heaven is first. But a person not paying, like I pay attention to everything people say, I can clearly see what he's saying. But I'm telling you, people that aren't as fast as that, what they're thinking, they won't catch that. I'm going to rewind and show you how he just went against what he just said. Watch this. My first time watching this before. I've never seen this before.
Yeah, giving enough attention to the church Sunday. We might go to the mosque on Friday. Even in traditional African culture, you might go to the temple and worship once or twice a week, but you're still not giving enough attention to your relationship with supreme consciousness. To make a long story short.
Okay, so he's basically trashing every belief system outside of what he believes is called supreme consciousness, because he says that because the reality is that if you are doing what your faith says to do, okay, we'll put it like that. Okay, I'm gonna make it unilateral in this way. If you're doing what they say to do, then your faith should lead you in the right way when it comes to how you should live on earth, period. Okay? But he's saying supreme, so he's pushing supreme consciousness over all beliefs. That's what he's doing, but he's doing it in a sly manner. He's coming in as if he's like the devil. He's coming as if he's your friend. Like I'm saying, look, we do all these different things, but we still don't do enough over here. Once again, if you were, like, for example, if you're a Christian and you're doing what God said, you wouldn't need to rush to something else because God is your guiding force. He would lead you to do the right things. The Holy Spirit would tell you what to do. But if you're listening to him, Dr. Umar, of course, dismisses every belief outside of what he does, which is the worship of the ancestors and divination. Okay? But he's not going to say it like that. So he does it in a sly manner. But let's continue. So he's basically saying right now at this point in his discourse, he's saying,
we put this world first before that world. In Yoruba,
he said we put this world first before that world, right?
Have a saying that says heaven is home. Earth is the marketplace. You just visiting here. That's where you live. So when you come here, you need to stay focused and get your job done because you won't be here forever. Another thing that we choose in heaven is how long we're going to be here. Not everybody's supposed to live a long life. You got some people.
So what is he saying? He's saying that. Let's go back once again. You see, he's talking about the people who are
It's the marketplace
in these different religions, right? And he's saying that y'all not putting consciousness first, essentially, right?
You just visiting here. Supreme consciousness. To make a long story short, we put this world first before that world. In Yoruba, we have a saying that says.
So right there, he said we put this world first before that world. All right. So he's saying this world should be first before that world. That's what he's saying. Before anything you believe in, this world should be first. Consciousness should be first. But then what's the next thing he says?
Heaven is home. Earth is the marketplace. You just visiting here.
Okay. So then he says, heaven is home. Earth is just a marketplace. You just visiting here. So now he's giving supremacy to heaven. All right. This is to glaze over any offense that a person who just heard what he said, who really believes what they believe in, okay, because what I'm saying, this is his tactic. And I've seen this down times. This is how he glazes it over so you don't feel offended. You know, he said by saying the exact opposite of what he just said, but he's still instilled in your subconscious what he really wanted to say. You understand what I'm saying? He's an expert at doing this.
Where you live. So when you come here, you need to stay focused and get your job done because you won't be here forever. Another thing.
See? He literally just said the thing that they were saying in churches, which is that you need, do what you do here because it's temporary. All right. But right before that, he literally attacked all of that. It said conscience has a primacy over them. Then he switched it up. Okay, don't believe me? You can watch this for yourself and see that's exactly what, and I just showed you twice. That's exactly what he just did. Why would he do that? Because he's stupid? Because he's so smart? No, he's intentionally going against what he just said because everything he's saying is not real. He has no, his real heart is in worship of the ancestors and the demonic religion of divination. All right. He's not, you notice he's not mentioning that because he won't mention that. Because if he were to mention that, people would say, why are you doing that? So he doesn't want that to be something he has to deal with. Okay. So he pushes his conscious. Now, consciousness in itself is not worship of the ancestors, nor is it divination. All right. It's not even a religion per se, but but yet he has a religion. All right. Let's continue. So I'm just trying to help you guys that are following him. I'm trying to establish in your mind, if you can understand this, and hopefully you can, how everything he does is double speech. He speaks with double speech. Okay. He also lies continuously. As I just showed you, he's not genuine because he said do things one way. Then he said the exact opposite. He said be conscious, but then he also said, oh no, everything. He said we need to spend more time paying attention in this world, not heaven. Then he went right after that and said, but then again, heaven is our real world, and here is just the marketplace, blah blah blah. So he just switched it around because he doesn't want to lay claim to one thing, so you're not offended at him, but that you just love him, so that everybody can love him. He wants everybody from every end, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever, he wants everyone to love him, so that they can all send money to him. And the reality is that if you want to be a strong figure in this world, make a difference, everybody's not going to love you. Okay? Everybody's not going to be your friend. All right? If you want to stand up for black causes, the reality is that some white people are going to hate you. And it's just the way it is. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee, all right, it wasn't against white people, but it was against racism. But you know what happened? When he did that, he couldn't find a team to be on. All right? He stopped doing this for black people who have been treated wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then you know what they did? Donald Trump and other people stood up and they said, you're doing this against the American flag, when he said, look, I actually asked men who were in the army and so forth, is this disrespectful to you? And they said no. He said, I was trying to make sure that I did it in a way that was disrespectful. I think he did during the national anthem, okay? And they said doing it that way won't be disrespectful. And Donald Trump ran with that and said, no, you did this to disrespect our flag and cause this man not to be able to get a job. Okay, he was in the prime of his career. So no matter what you do, whether you're on one side or the other side, you can't be of a great effect if you want everybody to love you, because in the real world, it's not how things work. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, they stood in a certain place, and they were assassinated by this evil U.S. government. It's as simple as that, because they stood in a particular place. All right, they didn't say everybody loved me. Everybody, we agree with everybody. No, they didn't agree with everybody. But that's what he preaches here, and that's what he preaches. But the other times he'll preach racism. He preaches whatever is convenient at the time, okay?
We choose in heaven is how long we're going to be here. Not everybody's supposed to live a long life. You got some people who choose a short destiny. They come for 21 years. They may only came to teach you a lesson. They may only come to teach me a lesson. They may have been born to be in a car accident to wake their parents up from the path that they was walking. So destinies are completely different. Some people have short ones. Some people have very long destinies. But you're not guaranteed to live out that destiny if your decisions are not in alignment with your highest purpose. So in other words, if I was sent here to be the next Dr. King, but because of poor character, low integrity, and bad decisions, I don't have to meet my destiny. And I could have chosen to be on earth for 100 years old. But because of my poor decisions, I check out at 30.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
We co-create our destiny. So when people say, whatever's for you, nobody can take from you, that's partially true. If you're on your path, nobody can take it from you. But sometimes we become our own worst enemies because of a lack of spiritual discipline, so you can destroy your own destiny. Ain't nobody got to do it for you.
So you think spiritual discipline?
Once again, when he just says not deep, a 2-year-old can understand that. He just said, basically wrapping that up, summing up, he basically said, look, at the end of the day, you can affect your destiny, and if you do the wrong thing, your destiny can change. Of course, Dr. Umar, that's like obvious. But the way that he said it, the way that he worded it, it seems just so deep. All right. Now, I'm going to give people respect. Even Dr. Umar will respect his due. Somebody says something that's deep or something that's intelligent, I'm going to say that. But at this point, he's not saying anything that's deep at all. Nothing. It's stuff that I knew like when I was like 7 years old. Serious, I'm not even exaggerating, okay? Basic stuff. All right? Basic stuff. But he's using the great gravitas in his voice and trying to make it sound like it's so great. It's nothing great. And the guys just, they're hyping, amping him up. But let's continue.
Oh, spiritual discipline is the key. In fact, I would say a big reason why African people struggle the way we struggle from a spiritual perspective is we have become idol worshipers. Black America doesn't recognize it because we got so much religion around us, but most of us are idol worshipers. We worship cars, we worship clothes, we worship status, we worship college.
Yeah, like I said, he got double tongue. See how he said we don't notice that we're idol worshipers because we have so much religion around us. So now he's casting a hammer at what people will call religion. He's casting a hammer. I thought that you were for it. Don't you said we need to worship the Most High? Isn't that quote unquote religion? Then he said we don't understand what's going on with the Most High told us. But then he's saying we have so much religion around us that we don't notice something. So he's actually blaming that on us being idol worshipers. See, this is what I mean when I say Dr. Umar is not serious. Okay, some of y'all criticize when I make these videos and say, it's too much breakdown. No, this is a reason I break it down like this. I'm trying to show you from his own words, okay, like in his video, how he's not serious. Everything that he's saying is contradicting what he himself is saying. And it's not because he needs to be more learned. It's because he himself is nothing but an actor. He's not serious. Okay, like Donald Trump. If you look at Donald Trump, he'll say one thing, like for example, he used to be pro-abortion, became a Republican, all of a sudden he's against abortion. All right, he'll switch up. He switched up his whole character, not because his views just drastically changed because he had a aha moment. No, but because he knew that it was easier to become the president going the Republican route than any other route. Especially because a lot of those people are easily swayed, especially in the Bible Belt. They're easily swayed. If you go on the Christian shows and evangelical shows and just say what they want you to say, you could do anything and they'll follow you. That's why Donald Trump himself said, I could take somebody's life. I could shoot somebody, essentially, is what he said. I'm trying to be careful how I say this because this video don't get taken down. I'm going to get limited in his reach, okay? He's like, basically shoot somebody in the middle of Manhattan and I want to lose a single voter. That's literally what Donald Trump said. Don't believe me, go look it up. And Dr. Umar is the exact same way. He knows that he has to just hit these different points, but he's also at the same time telling you, leave God alone. He's not saying leave God alone, but what he's saying is religion caused a problem, making us all idol worshipers. But look how he just threw it in there so slyly. And if you are, at this point, sliding along with Dr. Umar, sliding along the roller coaster that he put you on, you wouldn't have time to stop and look and say, what did you just say, buddy? Why are you saying that, Dr. Umar? You wouldn't notice that. But I noticed that for sure. And a lot of people that are thinking, people will notice that. But a lot of other folks, they just want somebody to be their mentor and gain knowledge from them. So a lot of these teens and people that are getting into college, y'all don't understand what kind of man this man really is. And so that's why this video is here to help you to understand that a man that says things against what he's saying himself, especially what he just said, is a man you should not listen to.
Agrees, we worship celebrities. We don't really worship God. We profess it. But when you look at our behavior, we're worshiping everything but the Almighty. There's no way you could have poverty in Black America the way you have it when we are $2 trillion people and you got Black people living on the streets. When's the last time you seen a homeless Chinese? When's the last time you seen a homeless Jew? When's the last time you seen a homeless Mexican? You don't, because the community provides for them. Black people are...
That's not true. That's not true, Dr. Umar. And he knows this is not true. He comes from Philadelphia. You know who is the most homeless people in Philadelphia? Not Black people. You would think Philadelphia is like 40-something%. It's like 45% Black, okay? But do you know who are the majority of people that are homeless in Philadelphia? Not Black folks. It's actually white folks. Yeah, that's right. It's actually white folks. Go online, type in Kensington, Philadelphia, and all these people that are homeless there. They're white folks, not Black folks. Okay? There are some Black folks, but most of them are white folks. All right? They're strung out. And he knows this is true. There are many Mexican people that are homeless. Okay? Are there Black folks that are homeless? Too many of them? Yes, that's not a lie. Okay. Are there Jewish people that are homeless? Yes. Okay. Any white person that you see could be Jewish for all you know. You don't know if they're Jewish or not. You can go up to someone and ask them and say, hey, are you Jewish? But that Umar's not going to talk about that. But he's trying to prove a point here by lying. All right. And when he does it, many times he'll stretch things to a fictional extreme. He'll take something that's partially true and stretch it to a fictional extreme. All right.
Capitalist. And there's nobody who's... When's the last time you seen a homeless Chinese? When's the last time you seen a homeless Jew? When's the last time you seen a homeless Mexican? You don't, because the community provides for them. Black people are capitalists, and there's nobody who's ever going to make it into the kingdom of heaven being a capitalist. So let's jump.
And again, this is the beginning of the interview. He says, you're not going to make it into the kingdom of heaven. That's a term right out the Bible. The Bible that he just a second ago attacked when he said we're not worshiping God, we're worshiping idols because we're worshiping religion. Didn't he just say that? But now he's taking something right out of Jesus' mouth. That's what Jesus spoke about. He was the one who introduced the kingdom of heaven when he brought that into play, when he introduced that, though it already existed, but he introduced it to the general public. And Dr. Umar now is taking that right out of the Bible, though he doesn't believe in it. So why is he mentioning it? By accident? No. He's mentioning it to grab those people that are Christians to now be his followers. He knows that if he uses these certain code words, he can now grab y'all. Okay? And say, oh, he said the kingdom of heaven. Let me listen a little more to Dr. Umar. It makes you wonder if this man who he's listening to, if this man is a Christian himself or sympathetic to that, because he's using a lot of these terms, okay, around this man. Or maybe his audience is, I don't know. Okay, but he's using a lot of the terms. I've seen Dr. Umar amongst, for example, Muslim or Nation of Islam. I've seen him in those settings, and he started using all their terminology. Okay, but let's continue. Like a chameleon, he'll just change. He'll just adapt. Okay, but let's continue. The only problem is that a person that's always adapting like that and changing, you have to ask yourself the question: who are you? What do you actually believe in? All right, because that's very important for me to know if I'm going to try to model myself to a degree off of you, or listen to what you're saying and then merge that into my life. You understand what I'm saying? Let's continue.
Right into our program then. What we're here to talk all about is whether black folks in 2025, black America, are we thriving or just surviving?
I think we're drowning.
Oh.
I don't think we're thriving or surviving. I think we're drowning. You look at the suicide rate, black girls, fastest growing suicide rate since COVID, right? Historically, the highest suicide rate in America was middle-class black men, which is interesting. Middle-class white males, which is interesting because so many black people want to pattern their life off of middle-class white America. When that successful white man who you want to be, they have the highest suicide rate in American history. Why do you want to be him? You see that? Now, our girls, even though the white man still rules, middle-class white man as highest suicide group, black girls have been the fastest growing since COVID. And we know why, because during the COVID quarantine, when children couldn't go to school.
See, again, he's not saying COVID, he's saying COVID. Why is he making such a delay between the code and the vid? The reason why is to make you seem dumb and make him seem smart. It's purposeful. He knows that's not how most people would say it, but he's intentionally saying it that way. Oh no, he's just saying like that way so we can more understand that he's saying COVID. Oh, so if he didn't say COVID like I just said, you wouldn't understand it. No, he's intentionally doing that. These are the tactics of a person that's a scam artist and is trying to use his speech to slyly make you pull your pants down. You understand what I'm saying? Drop your guard. All right.
Our girls were stuck in homes where there was sex abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sibling abuse, right? Absenteeism, abandonment. Even though public schools are horrible, right? It was the only place where a lot of our daughters could go to just get a fresh opportunity to think through their problems, right? I'm looking forward to go to school, not to learn, but just to get some peace. COVID trapped them in the house. They couldn't even go out. So that quadrupled the trauma, and a lot of our daughters still have not regained their footing since then.
Jeez.
Now, Dr. Umar is doing something that a lot of not just prosperity preachers, but a lot of preachers that, in my opinion, are not sent by God do, which is that they will say everything is darkness, okay? Everything is bad, all right? And they speak in wide generalities, oftentimes to generalize basically, in his case, all black folks, okay? Like watch this. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Watch this.
They problems, right? I'm looking forward to go to school, not to learn, but just to get some peace. COVID trapped them in the house. They couldn't even go out. So that quadrupled the trauma, and a lot of our daughters still have not regained their footing since then.
Jeez. There's a lot of truth.
Okay. So looking at him with a bold face, he said, now he was careful not to say all of our daughters, because that don't make him not seem smart for real. But he said a lot of them. He's saying essentially they all are a large amount of them, okay, are now just messed up, okay, because they were in the house. Notice how the black person is always. This is another thing I need to explain when I say he talks with double speech and why I believe he's a government plan. Notice how the black person in any situation with Dr. Umar, we're always the weakest link, okay? We're always the one who, let's say for example, natural disaster hits. We're always the ones who get hurt the most. Now, most people would say, well, that's because, our communities are so messed up. That's what Dr. Umar is saying. But that's not actually what he's saying. What he's actually saying, and he's throwing into the subconscious, and it's not my opinion, it's just a fact, is that the reason why he does this is because he's trying to make you feel, as a black person, okay, as an African American, whatever you want to call it, he's trying to make you feel like you yourself are at a low position. Because for a comment to con you, they have to make you feel like you are in great need at all times. That way, because if you feel like you're in great need, he can easily come pick you up like you're a brick on the ground, okay, and pick you up and move you somewhere else. This is what all fake preachers do, whether in Christianity or in any religion. They do the exact same thing. They have to make you feel like everything for you is darkness. So why would you not listen to what I'm saying? Because everything for you is darkness. Don't you understand? You grew up in the hood. All right? You're not rich, but there are rich white people. And you're not rich. Don't you see how everything for you is darkness? All right. Do you have two houses? No, only got one house. Well, I know a white guy that has two houses, but you were brought up in the hood, so you don't have two houses. Don't you see how everything for you is darkness? Ready to take my advice? Ready to take my course? You understand? Ready to send me money for this scam school? That's how it's the setup. It's just, and they all do the exact same thing. Let's continue.
To that as well. And I believe when you say that you think we're drowning, you don't see that none of the successes that's been happening among some of our elite African Americans puts us.
See what I mean? How he says everyone is, which, and then this guy bringing up a point. Now, of course, Dr. Umar was going to probably just dismiss that. All right, because once again, he has to make you feel like you're in great darkness and you're in great need. Okay, but let's see what this guy says now.
In a position that you think we're thriving, or you still think those are just very small steps in the bigger picture?
I believe then that begs the next question: is the black bourgeoisie a blessing or a curse? Because see, I would argue that the black elite class was engineered by the white power structure to be used as a buffer against the rest of us. In other words, when black people scream racism, we'll point to the billionaires and millionaires and say, there can't be no racism in America, because how did they make it? They made it because you allowed them. See, the argument about racism is...
See that double speech right there? Again, me see, where's the double speech, brother? Where he said this term, where he said, you allowed them. Okay? And I heard this a lot. I remember years ago I dated a woman, for example, right? That she was talking about Barack Obama, right? And she said, and I know a lot of people are not the Barack Obama fans. I agree with some things he did. I don't agree with some things he also did, okay? I'm not in love with Barack Obama, but what I will say is that he was definitely a smart man, did a lot of things, and he did introduce universal health care, things like that, a lot of things other people could not do. But one thing she said to me one time, which made me actually bring up with her, was that she said, they allowed him to become the president. They allowed him, and he blah blah blah. She basically said regarding all black folks that we can't get anywhere unless we're allowed by a white man to get somewhere. Unless a white man opens up a door for us, we can't get anywhere. Which essentially meant that for me, no matter what I did with her, all right, she would see it as, well, the white man just has power over you. Even though you're not in slavery anymore, the white man has power over you. And if you accomplish anything in your life, Winston, it's only because the white man allowed you to. Not that you use intelligence like the white man did, not that you study like the white man did, okay, not that you use your God-given talent like the white man did, not that you did anything, not that you perceived what they were going to do and thought 10 steps ahead of them and made a chess move that they didn't make and checkmated they behind. No, you didn't do that, because you're a black man. You didn't do that. It was the white man that thought ahead of you in the chess game of life, and that white man said, I'm gonna let him make this move because I'm always ahead of him in his chess game. That's something that I don't ascribe to, nor should you ascribe to, that the white man or any other race is always ahead of you. But that's what Dr. Umar preaches day after day after day. He preaches that message so much. And this is why I say he speaks with a double tongue, and also why he is a government plan, and a perfect government plan. All right. Now, he's not going to sit there and tell you and explain the way I just said it. he's going to say, well, essentially, like he said if black people succeed, then essentially it's because white people let us succeed, so that we can be used to so that when we succeed, we can be used to say, look, there is no racism. Of course they're going to say that. Of course, racist white people, I should say, would say that, Dr. Umar. All right. But go further. What about people that are actually successful? Because if that's the case, Dr. Umar, who always says he's the most requested, he's successful. So are you therefore a government plant because of that? Well, of course, Dr. Umar will not include himself in that equation. All right. So he excludes himself, but every other black person, they're included, okay, into the team of failures that have only succeeded because a white man or woman allowed them to get there. It's as simple as that's based on what he just said. Let's continue.
Not that you don't give opportunity, you don't give equal opportunity to all. So there will always be a couple successful blacks. There was a couple successful blacks during slavery, but did that erase the fact that you're participating in the worst crime in human history? So we have to make sure that we don't mistake tokenism for progress.
Interesting. Do you think we need to refine what rebellion look like for African?
He called black people succeeding, which is what we want. He called that tokenism, not progress. Tokenism. Okay, so if you had a whole hood where there was gun violence going on, people selling all kind of dope and all kind of mess, and then that whole area changed, there are mentors that came in. Okay, people start looking at the guy and looking away from money and cash, and start becoming educated, okay, and doing things they need to do, becoming educated with their history, becoming educated with money, okay, and understand how to use money, and with investing and so on and so forth. If all that stuff happened and the whole community turn around, Dr. Umar would say that's just tokenism. Just tokenism, ain't nothing. You know what I mean? Nothing. It's just one little, which is just one little token out of the bigger picture of blacks that are just a bunch of niggas and never gonna be anything. All right, that's what he's preaching. Yet people are foolish enough to believe and listen to this man with his foolishness. Okay, but let's continue. And this man right now is not holding him to the fire. All right, he's letting Dr. Umar say whatever he wants to say and speak with a double and triple tongue. But let's continue.
America in this new Trump era. Interesting. Do you think we need to refine what rebellion look like for African Americans in this new Trump era?
I think we can. Here's the thing. You got rebellion, you have revolt, you have revolution.
Okay.
Black people rebel.
That's correct.
Temporarily. It's a temper tantrum. It never evolves into a revolution for change. It's easy to burn something down. It's easy to tear something down. Breonna Taylor, Michael Brown,
Let's go back and listen to this one more time. Watch this. I'm going to show you something.
Temporarily. It's a temper tantrum. You have revolt, you have revolution.
Okay.
Black people rebel.
That's correct.
Temporarily. It's a temper tantrum. It never evolves into a revolution for change.
Now you see he uses the word rebel. Rebel means that someone has their foot on your neck, okay? And you're saying, get your foot on my neck. I'm rebelling against, get your foot on my neck. That's, out of all the little things that he just mentioned, he chose to use rebel, number one. Because once again, in his mind, his preaching, not in his mind, but in his preaching, is always black people were below. All right? And a white man is always the master and always the hero. That's why we need to be hating on white people because of that, okay? So what does he say? He says, but it never turns into anything of change. So by saying this, Dr. Umar is at the same time damning all the works and accomplishments of the civil rights movements before him. And in no uncertain terms, he is doing that because he said it never turns into. He's a rebellion. Now every civil rights uprising, okay, and rebellion against, like for example, Rosa Parks on the bus saying, I'm not going to do what you want me to do in this bus. All right. Her sitting where she wanted to sit at. Okay. That was a rebellion against those laws. But he said it never became anything. Dr. Umar said it never became anything of value. It never became anything. All right. Didn't make any kind of change. Yeah. Right now, we black people can sit whether in the north or the south, okay, of the USA. We can sit wherever we want because of those people. But Dr. Umar would say, it never became anything. Here he is living in the year 2025. All right. He did not grow up in those times. All right. Dr. Umar was like 50-something years old. He did not grow up in those times. All right. But he has a luxury to sit here in the future and damn all of them and say never became anything. Okay, but people will look at Dr. Umar as some type of great thinker. Let's continue.
Easy to burn something down. It's easy to tear something down. Breonna Taylor, Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, Tamir Rice, right here, Freddie Gray, so forth. We marched, we protested, we rioted, we rebelled, but there was never a revolution. There wasn't even a reformation. Reformation says we're going to fix the institutions that we got, although they're not.
Somebody may say, how's Dr. Umar wrong? It's true that Trayvon Martin happened. It's true that all these things happen with these people that have lost their lives, okay? Yet still, we're in the same position. The reality is that changes are happening, but Dr. Umar is not highlighting them. He's not talking about them. There are changes that have been happening all across the world. And in the USA, for example, there have been all kinds of changes that have happened in the USA. But when a black man or black woman starts a group or does something by themselves to make change, it's rarely highlighted. I've started 2 community groups in Philadelphia, okay, and seeing great change. Before I got on this phone and started making this video, I actually messaged somebody about meeting this week because someone is in need, okay, and my group is handling that. Does Dr. Umar know about that or care to know about that? No, okay. Does he even mention, say, I'm sure people doing certain things to make change? No, because once again, all he speaks of is darkness, 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 darkness. All right, so that a person uninformed, because Dr. Umar's message is to the uninformed black person for sure, okay? For the person that's not informed, all right? That's why they always fall for his cons, because they're not informed and they don't know. They're seeing from a very, very minute, small section instead of seeing the bigger picture. And he doesn't want you to see the bigger picture. He wants you to see his picture, okay? His picture is a false picture, all right? A picture that will leave you full of hate, all right?
Perfect. Let's make them work for black people. Let's reform. Reformation. Reformation says we're going to fix the institutions that we got, although they're not perfect. Let's make them work for black people. Let's reform Cleveland police system. Let's reform Cleveland public schools. Let's reform Cleveland's.
Because there's no black people in Cleveland that have thought about that. There's not one black person in Cleveland that have thought about or who have tried to reform these things. That's what Dr. Umar is saying to them. Cleveland, the place that Dr. Umar has visited many times to speak, okay? He's saying to all of them that none of y'all have ever done anything to reform anything. That's what he's saying. I have to stop this video and say that over and over again and explain these because he's just spouting off at the mouth, just saying this stuff, and people will not stop and think. Look at what he just said, okay? Look at what this wild man is saying. But I can see that. I'm saying, no, hold up, wait a minute. I saw what you just said. We're going to stop there and talk about it. Let's continue.
Municipal judicial system, if you believe they can be reformed. Revolution says we're going to tear them down and rebuild them. Black people are neither reformists or revolutionaries. We are reactionaries. That's the only time we stand.
Damn black people. Look at he said black people are neither. He said black people are not revolutionaries, but there are revolutionaries. But he's saying black people are not that. So he's speaking with a double tongue. He's damning his own people. Okay, you don't need to have the KKK come and say, y'all black folks, y'all not revolutionaries. Dr. Umar is there to do it for you. He's there to do, oh no, he's doing it because he's trying to help us. Really? As if no one was revolutionary or tried any of these things before he was born? Yes, there have been many that have done this. Okay, many that have brought reform. Many that have brought change. Okay, from the fact that we have the freedoms that we have today to sit where we want to sit on a bus. Okay, to go to schools that are mixed. To do a variety of things, and I'm going to go into a variety of things that we could not do before Reconstruction, in the times of Reconstruction, okay, and even in the 60s, the 50s, and the 60s. All the change that's happened because people have died, and this fool is sitting here saying they've accomplished nothing, okay, so that he can, just like a false pastor, he can then at the very end bring you into his school scam, which is what it is. So you can send him cash apps, okay? Simple as that. Let's continue.
Up is when white people make us upset and rebuild them. Black people are neither reformists or revolutionaries. We are.
He didn't say some black people. He said black people. Remember that. Make note of that. He said black people are neither. That's how this man thinks, okay? Let's continue.
Reaction. Judicial system. If you believe they can be reformed. Revolution says we're going to tear them down and rebuild them. Black people are neither reformists or revolutionaries, we are reactionaries.
That's
the
correct.
only time we stand up is when white people make us upset. And if the only time you're going to do something for yourself is when your enemy provokes you, then your enemy controls your destiny. Why don't we build? Because you got to have love to do that. There's not enough love amongst us to do what's right before something wrong happens.
Why is that?
The self-hatred. I think it's also the psychological hopelessness, and I think it's also the helplessness. Black people have been suffering so long, so hard, that a lot of us, despite our profession of faith in the Almighty, a lot of us have psychologically checked out of the freedom struggle. We might celebrate Kwanzaa, we might celebrate Black history, but guess what? Deep down inside, we don't think we can ever overcome white supremacy. Which is why if we're really going to organize...
See? There we go. He said deep down inside, he's telling all his listeners, everyone watching, deep down inside, you don't think you ever can overcome the white man who has his foot on your neck. The white man's foot is not on my neck, okay? But in Dr. Umar's mind, in his words I should say, I should believe that the white man's foot is always on my neck. The white man has power over me, not God and God alone, but no, the white man has power over me. The white man has strength over me. The white man has control over me. You understand what I'm saying? And therefore, by me thinking that way, I'm now put in a slave mentality, like in slavery times, because of a government plan like Dr. Umar, which is exactly what the government will want. Let's continue.
As if you take Ohio, if you're really going to organize Cleveland, Youngstown, Cincinnati, Columbus, Akron, Dayton, you got to separate those who profess to want freedom from those who genuinely are willing to fight and struggle for it, because a lot of us has given up. If Dr. King lived today, I'm not sure he would have the impact. If the Honorable Marcus Garvey was here, I'm not sure he would have the impact. If Medgar Evers was here, who died today, by the way, Medgar Evers was assassinated June 12th. If he was here, I'm not sure if he could get our people together, because you got to have the movement.
Right. So none of those pioneers could have impact, but you can. You can, Dr. Umar, man. Now this is a recent interview, so this is so you the man, okay, who been talking about a school since the early 2010s, and some have said even 2008, 2009. Okay, bought the school in 2019. It's 2025. That's 6 years later, at the very least, 6 years later, and you own the school. Collected over $1 million. Bought the school after you got that $1 million, over $1 million. Got the school for 400. Should left you with 6 something. Okay, and the renovations you've done to the school have been painting the school with you and your buddies and some kids, painting a rock, putting FDMG on a sign which could cost less than $1,000, putting that sign up on maybe, I don't know if he has 1 or 2, but wherever the case may be, that could have been more than a couple $1,000s to get that sign. That sign or signs. Okay, and all the rest of the hundreds of thousands of dollars is unaccounted for. And then just recently, here we are in the end of the month of August 2025, the school was going up for auction, was a threat to be auctioned off, which Dr. Umar himself came online and had to admit. But conveniently, he came out and to tell a convenient lie about how his bank accounts were somehow frozen. Okay, right at the exact convenient time, so that people couldn't say, Dr. Umar, reach into the money that we've sent you as donations and pay that off. Why aren't you paying it off? So the convenient lie was there in the beginning when he knew this was going to happen, which he admitted that he knew 4 months ago about this stuff going on. Okay, the convenient freezing of his accounts for no reason at all, okay, happened to stop us from questioning why does he reach into the over $1 million of money, because the money is not there, because he stole the money. He stole the money from the donors. All right, and he actually, really, in my opinion, should be locked up. I'm gonna be honest with you. He should be locked up because he committed fraud. He took people's money, and not just anybody's money. He took black people's money, his own people's money. That's why I video up on my channel saying Dr. Umar is the greatest Uncle Tom, because he really is the greatest Uncle Tom. He loves to damn his own people and say that we're not worth anything and we're just a bunch of lazy niggas. Okay, while at the exact same time he's taking money from the very people that wanted to see a school to help black boys. He's taking that money, all right, and then used it on himself, traveled the world, sleeping with black women from all across the world, okay, tricking them, using them, abusing them, and then going on to the next woman, okay, and then he's going to sit here and attack us And then on top of that, he's going to attack our actual real pioneers while he's nothing more than a scam artist. Okay, with a Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X veneer on, a costume, I should say. Speaking in all kind of, deep ways with just the way that he's talking, but not saying anything deep. Putting on all kind of gravitas to his voice. So he sounds like a king. He sounds like somebody great. But when you take the words that he's saying and boil them down and add them up, the sum total is nothing. It's something that you already knew. You learn nothing. If anything, you become dumber. If anything, you become more scared. You become more fearful because he preaches fear, all right, without a doubt, and racism and hate. And connected to hate is actually fear and hate go hand in hand. And because he preaches it so much, if you believe in that hate, you're going to also believe in the fear. I hate the white man because I fear the power that he has over me. You understand what I'm saying? So I have to attack him because I fear him. That's what he preaches.
And you got to have the messenger. All great movements, you had the leader, but the people were ready. No matter how good the leader is, if the people are not ready, he can't move them.
So what is freedom?
For me, freedom is the ability to determine the destiny of your people without outside interference. We've never had freedom. We've had degrees of privilege and degrees of autonomy. We've never been free.
All right, man. You can take us there all over the place. I got to keep us on our program.
No problem. We good. We good.
We've never been free. We never had any power. We've been a powerless people always. Always powerless. Never accomplished anything since we came into this nation. Always been powerless based on what this man is saying. Let's continue.
I can sit here and just listen to you.
I'm stopping and continually saying this. I want you guys to follow him and understand. This is what this man is saying. You can clearly see that. You can clearly see that. I'm taking what he's saying at face value, and then I'm showing you what he's actually saying, okay? And you can clearly see that's what he's actually saying, all right? It's not like I'm changing what he's saying. I'm just saying this is what this man is telling you. If I say 1 + 1 = 1, 1 + 1 = 2, then I'm telling you, if you add 1 and 1 together, you will get the sum of 2, all right? Just by saying 1 + 1 = 1, I'm telling you that also, all right? And that's what he is doing here.
Environment where policy is rolling back rights for our community and our communities are under surveillance. What's the most urgent enemy to the black community, black progress, let's say? What's the most urgent enemy to the black progress? The system, the media, or our own comfort zones?
Black people can never be their worst enemy because we are not organized enough to oppress ourselves.
Okay.
We control no industries. We dominate no institutions. We don't create diseases. They do. We don't control the school system. They do. We don't control the economy. They do. So the number one enemy is systemic white supremacy. Hands down, right?
Okay.
But we
I knew he was going to say that. I knew he was going to say that because once again, we're under the white man's oppression. All right. So number one enemy is, see, now if he had said it's all three, which would have been more correct, or it was it has something to do with us, which of course he's not going to say that, okay, because that will be the correct answer, and as a government plant that he is, he cannot give you the correct answer. It's like he's on a game show continuously, and his job is not to win the game show, but always to say the wrong answer and to lose. Okay, I knew he wasn't going to say. I knew he was going to end on the wrong one. And that is exactly what he needed to say, being the government plant that he is and fulfilling his government plant mission. Okay, black people, it's not y'all fault, even though in many instances it is our fault. Okay, because things that we are doing to ourselves. All right, now of course everything is not our fault. I'm not saying that everything is our fault in our communities, but many things are our own fault. Like I've said before, Dr. Umar panders to black women many times, but he won't tell black women the things that they're doing wrong. Outside of them wearing a weave because he doesn't want to have sex with a woman that has a weave on. Outside of that, he won't tell them the things that they're really doing wrong. But he will tell a black man what he believes they're doing wrong. But he won't tell us about black women because his financial base is black women. All right. It's just like the guy Derek. I think his name was Derek something. Derek Jackson. Some. I think his name was Derek. I think his name was Derek Jackson. He was a guy who was online all the time talking against black men all day long and pandering to black women. And then they come to find that the guy had like he was cheating on his wife. He had like a bunch of different girlfriends. All right. And the whole thing became a mess. And people still to this day, women still to this day, still listen to this guy give dating advice. True story. And the guy was nothing. And when I first saw the guy, I immediately knew that he was lying. I immediately knew that he probably was cheating on his wife because everything he had in his mouth was black men are bad. That's all he ever talked about. Dr. Umar is just like him. Only difference is that he got a bunch of degrees behind him, okay, to make him seem more convincing.
It's number one, accomplice. Because we do nothing about it. Frederick Douglass said the slave that is whipped the easiest is the slave that will whip the most. If you never push back against what's being done to you, it only gets worse. I take it to psychology. Behavioral psychology is based on the premise that all behavior is a function of the consequence. The consequences.
Okay.
So if there are no consequences for police killing black people, it'll only get worse. You look at what Brother Rodney Hinton Jr. did over in Cincinnati. People say, wait a minute, that was a bit extreme, okay? But guess what? From a behavioral psychology perspective, if he doesn't do that, police never stop and think twice before they kill another black person.
Do you believe that?
I
though?
absolutely believe it.
Even though he killed the innocent guy?
Innocent according to whose definition? Because if you are a police officer working for one of the most corrupt institutions in America who have the greatest history of oppressing black people, how can any police officer be innocent?
Interesting.
Now, I like how the guy says interested. Instead of actually opening up your mouth and saying, that don't make no sense, Dr. Umar, he always says, interested. People like him, that like that guy on the show, they enable Dr. Umar. Just like Charlamagne the God, they enable him. They're not going to sit there and say, what do you mean, brother? I don't care if you're my friend. I don't care if you're my actual brother. You say something off the wall, I'm going to let you know that's off the wall. He's saying essentially that because you work for America, okay, and are a police officer, therefore, you are now guilty no matter what you do. No matter what you do. All right. That doesn't make any sense. I know people that are police officers that are, loving people. I know a woman, for example, she used to be a police officer, and she said, I had to stop being a police officer because of the corruption. All right. So that's letting her right there. She said, I was not part of that. And I want to take part of that. And after a while, I left. But that, based on what Dr. Umar is saying, no, they all guilty. That's a lie. If that's the case, Dr. Umar is also guilty because even though he's not a police officer, he's making money and income in America, the same America that he's speaking against. So he's therefore is automatically guilty too, based on association. But he's not going to say that. All right. For all his degrees, that's something that based on his based on what he just created there, his logic, I should say. Based on that logic, he automatically would be guilty too, and every other person in the entire nation. Doesn't make any sense. All right, let's continue.
Let's go into this. If Trump's agenda is to suppress and distract, what's our counter move?
Here's the thing. Before I look at my enemies being responsible for where I am, let me look at the people who claim to be about my freedom, justice, and equality. Before I go to Donald Trump, I'm looking at the Congressional Black Caucus.
Oh, so you're going to now attack black folks. Well, before, everything you was just saying was the white man. Didn't he just say, when the guy asked him, what is the problem? Us, the media, or white man? He said, the white man. We don't have any power. Now, when they talk about Donald Trump, what does Dr. Umar say? He says, look at your own people. Once again, he's not serious. Like, you ever, try to apply for a job, and it was like a lot of these jobs, I ain't applied for a job for years, okay, because I work for myself, but I remember when I used to apply at these jobs, they would have questions where they would ask the same question to see if you were serious. They would ask the exact same thing in another way. Just trying to trick you to see if you were actually true over what you were saying. Dr. Umar, when you look at him and put him to that test, you can see that he fails continuously. And I'm not making this up. It's not my opinion. We just saw him answer, like I just said, him say, is it the media that's a problem, the white man, racism, or us? And he said, it can't be us. We don't have any power. It's the white man. But now he's saying, not Donald Trump. Don't look at that Donald Trump. Okay. Let's look at our own black leaders, which is the exact opposite of what he just said. So if he was taking a test for the job, he would have not gotten that job because he now literally just changed what he was saying, letting the job and us know he's not real. He's lying. When jobs see that you change what your answers are and they don't connect, when they can look at the application and they know that, if they answer yes to C, then they also have to answer yes to D over here. If they don't, then there's a lie somewhere because those are the exact same questions worded different ways. When you see Dr. Umar do that, it's a lie somewhere. Okay, it's a lie because he's asked the same question, but he literally right in front of you has lied. He literally right in front of you is telling you that first, I'm serious about this opinion. Then he switched around. The question was switched around, and he's saying, I'm serious about this opinion. So he's an actor, like I said. Like people are saying, he's nothing more than an actor. He's not real. Stop taking this con man seriously. Let's continue.
Caucus. I'm looking at these 59 Negroes down in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
U.S. reps.
Look how he talks about black people. Okay, he's supposed to be a great mind like King. How often did King talk about people that were not on his side and calling them Negroes? How often he talks to them derisively? Not often. You wouldn't see Dr. King doing that. There were times when Dr. King and Malcolm X didn't see eye to eye. Did you see Dr. King calling him a nigger or a Negro? No. All right, you didn't see him talk about Malcolm X that way. But Umar Johnson does that every single day. He opens his mouth up. He's talking about black people in a derisive manner all the time. All the time.
And 3 senators, most of y'all been there over a quarter of a century, and y'all haven't delivered any serious tangibles to the black community at all. Why do we have a congressional black caucus who's supposed to be fighting for us and delivered us nothing? Forget Trump. You delivered us nothing under Joe Biden. You delivered us nothing under Barack Obama. You delivered us nothing under Bill Clinton. You delivered us nothing under Jimmy Carter.
So basically, you're a man who attacked President Barack Obama before he became president. But now when Trump is under scrutiny, you say, forget Trump, let's attack ourselves. That's what Dr. Umar is. A government plan. Let's continue.
So before I talk about Trump, let's look at when we had a Democrat in there and we still got nothing. When you look at it, for me, and I was a political science major in undergrad, I don't see a big gap between what the Democrat.
So he took a political science class. Now he's an expert because he took a political science class where he went to class for a few months and read some books. And now he's smarter than all of us because of that. Let's continue.
Do for blacks and what the Republicans do for blacks. I see a big gap in the propaganda from the Democratic Party plantation slaves who get paid to sell the Democratic policy to black America. But at the end of the day, which party has a solution for mass incarceration?
Now, how about this? At the end of the day, is some of the things he's saying here correct? That a lot of these black folks are sitting there collecting money and not doing anything? Yes, that's true. The only problem is that Dr. Umar is an actor who we've just seen switch up, saying we not the problem, we don't have any power, and now he's saying y'all got power but you're not using it, which is exactly against what he just said, which makes me come to the conclusion that he's just a liar, that he has no real opinion in any of these things, or his opinion is being hidden under the mask that he always is walking with. You understand what I'm saying? We're gonna end the video right here because this is going on for 10 hours. I could talk about this for 20 hours if need be, okay? Because he lies so much. He is such a fraud. It's a wealth of information I could pull from as a person that is standing in the light and in truth, looking at him, a man that is, it's not even like he's trying to stand in light or stand in truth. He's just an actor. He's not a serious person. He's a character. All right. So I just shown you at least 2-3 times in this video, he goes against the things that he himself says. It's not me trying to say I'm not his fan. I don't like him. I could look at him from a neutral point of view and see, as I just showed you, that he's contradicting his own self. He's contradicting his own self. Yet people will say, I heard a girl in a video earlier today who was supporting him, and she said, he's done this for black folks. He's done that for black folks. Has he? How is you acting as a government plan? All right. Not being a real person. Okay. Damning your own people. Calling us Negroes and niggas and all kind of stuff. When the one sister, if you've seen on the video before, if you haven't seen it, check it out, where she sent him $10, and he said, next time send me 20. I know you barely had that. Talking derisively, talking in a disrespectful manner to your own people, over and over and over again. No, he had to do this so he could get to school. What school? There is no school. There is a building that he owns that was a school. But as for Dr. Umar, it is not a school. I will even say this. The reason why he bought those buildings is because they were a school. So we could call it a school. If we just bought buildings that were not a school, he wouldn't even be able to call it a school because people would say it's not even a school, it's just buildings. So we had to go and buy a former school so we could continually call it a school, yet it is not a school. It's not operational. It's not a coincidence either that he bought a school in that condition, okay? Because he didn't want the school to open up, all right? He bought, in my opinion, that's why he bought that type of school, had all them kind of problems. All right. I bet the school could be, for all we know, the school could be ready right now, but it won't open because he doesn't want it to open because it's part of the scam. History will tell, unless Dr. Umar changes his life, history will tell Dr. Umar going down in history as being a man who was nothing but a con artist, okay, who was finally arrested for his conning, okay, and was turned against, and it had his whole community turned against him, all right, at the end of the day. He thinks he can continue to con, continue to scam, but what Dr. Umar doesn't understand is that for all the social media, the TikToks, and the Instagram, and all the social media that supported him, okay, now, just like they can support you and lift you up, they can pull you down. All right. I remember my friend, Reverend Larry Falcon, told me a story about how when he was younger, not he was younger, but years ago, I should say, he brought a parent in, all right, to the youth group. And he told a story about how he had one of the parents stand in the middle of the kids, and the kids encircled the parent. Let's say it was like 10 of them. And he said, I want you guys to lift him up on his chair. All right. And the kids try and they cannot get him up on his chair. They cannot get this adult man on his chair. But then he told the man to stand on the chair. And he said, I want you to pull him down. And they were able to pull him down. And he said, see, y'all, he says, it's easier to pull somebody down than it is to lift somebody up. And that's what's going to happen to Dr. Umar. OK, when it's time to pull him down, his fan base and all these people, they're going to pull him down real fast. All right. And he's going to go down in history as being nothing more than a con man and one of the worst con men of all. Unless he turns his life around and comes out and publicly says, what I did was wrong. I stole y'all money. Okay. I do deserve jail time. I lied. All right. I opened my mouth only to destroy my own people and to sleep with black women, to lie to them and tell them I was going to better their sons' lives, which is not true. Okay. I've done all kind of wickedness over the entire, not just in the U.S., but across the world, pushing a scam school and a scam in what I was professing, being actually nothing more than a sorcerer and a witch doctor behind the scenes. Okay, that's all I really was, and I lied to y'all, changed my story up. However it fit the situation, changed to what I believed in. However it fit the situation, so y'all would send me money, and I used and abused y'all for years. I brought y'all consciousness actually down. All right, brought y'all IQs down, okay, because when you listen to me, it brought your IQ down, all right, and I want to ask you for my I want to ask you guys to please forgive me, and I offer you my sincerest apologies. Unless he does that, he's going to go down in history as being nothing more than the biggest con man you ever could see, okay, and it's as simple as that, y'all. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. It's your boy, Brother Winston, back at it again. Peace.